Welcome to this week's Praxis Spanish. Most prep channels show you their passing score. I'm going to show you both of them. The one where I failed by 4 points and the one where I passed by 11, 10 weeks later. Same teacher, same Spanish, same test. Different score by 50 points. Quick question before we dig in. What was your last Praxis score? Or what score are you aiming for? Drop the number in the comments. No judgment. Just curious where everyone is. I read every comment. Quick setup. 3 things you need to know before we look at the numbers. 1. The Praxis Spanish 5195 is scored on a scale of 100 to 200. Passing in most states is 168. My first attempt was 159, 4 points under. My second attempt, 174, 11 points over. 2. The raw section scores don't add up directly to the scaled score. ETS uses equating and a conversion table. So, and reading raw of 21 doesn't equal a specific scaled number. What it does tell you, which section moved and how far. 3, between these 2 attempts, I changed almost nothing about my Spanish ability. 10 weeks isn't enough to fundamentally change your language. What changed was strategy, stamina, and which sections I prioritized. That is the entire story today. Let's go section by section. Both attempts, what numbers show what actually changed. Reading 13 to 21 plus 8 raw points. My biggest tactical gain. What changed? Passage triage. First attempt, I read every passage front to back like I was teaching it. Second attempt, I read the question first, then scanned for the answer. This isn't a Spanish skill. It is a test-taking skill, and it is the highest ROI change I made. And that is the episode 4, Reading Deep Dive, if you want the full breakdown. Cultural knowledge, 5 out of 12 to perfect 12 out of 12. What changed? I stopped trying to memorize 200 random facts. I narrowed to 3 anchors: geography, colonial history, holidays and traditions, and studied each through the ACTFL 3-piece lens. Fewer, deeper facts beat more shallow facts every time. Episode 8, the deep dive on this, is the most efficient hour you can spend. Listening, 21 to 23, modest gain, but the lesson is bigger than the number. What changed? I stopped trying to write every word down. I started writing down only who, what, where on the first listen, then catching nuance on the second. If your listening barely moved between attempts, you are not alone. It is the slowest section to improve because it depends on input volume. And 10 weeks isn't a lot of input. Writing, 13 to 14, 1 point difference. What changed? On attempt 1, I tried to write beautiful Spanish. On attempt 2, I wrote clear Spanish that hit the rubric: topic sentence, 2 to 3 supports, and a transition word or 2, a conclusion. done. The rubric is more forgiving than you think. Aim for solid advanced low. Don't try to sound like bored geese. Speaking, attempt 1, 12. Attempt 2, 6. Difference, -6. My score went down. Speaking, what changed? Nothing about my Spanish. By the time I got to speaking, the last section, I was already calculating my overall scaled score in my head. Anxiety bled into the recording. If you take one warning from this entire video, don't let your brain to score math during the test. The test is not over until you click submit. Speaking is last, so protect it. Episode 7, the speaking deep dive, is the one to watch if this is your weakness. Here is everything in one place. 5 sections, 2 attempts, net plus 15 scaled points. The wins were reading and cultural. The loss was speaking. The middles barely moved. That is the honest picture. 3 lessons from these 2 reports. They apply to almost every teacher I've talked to. 1. Movability beats mastery. Don't spend 30 hours pushing a strong section from 18 to 20. Spend 30 hours pushing a weak section from 5 to 12. Same hours, 5 times the score gain. 2. The section order on test day is a strategy choice. Even if the test is computer-based, you can't reorder the sections, but you can decide where your stamina runs out and protect that section ahead of time. For me, that is speaking. For you, it might be writing. 3, your failing report. If you have one, it is data, not shame. Mine was single most useful document I studied from. It told me exactly which sections to attack and which to defend. If you have a failing report sitting in your inbox right now, open it. Look at it section by section. That is your study plan. Back to the question from the start. Drop your last score or target score in the comments. And if you've got a failing report sitting in your inbox, let me know which section dropped you hardest. I'll do a follow-up video on the most mentioned one. Next Tuesday, I'm walking through the exact 10-week study plan I built between attempts, week by week, hours per section, what I cut, what I added, when I rested. Subscribe so you don't miss it. There are 2 great resources for you to pass the Praxis Spanish test with confidence. They're free. Links are in the description box. 1. My 50 Academic Spanish Verbs PDF, the recognition list that shaves 4 to 7 minutes of reading on test day. 2, and this part is a bonus, when you grab the verbs, you will also get my Post-Section Debrief Checklist. It covers all 5 sections of the praxis and turns every practice test you take into one specific fix this insight. Both free, both yours when you sign up. Read guide in the description. The 5 shifts that took me from 159 to 174. It is the companion to this video. And if you want the full 10-week study plan, the section frameworks from the deep dive series, and a live Q&A where you can show me your score report, the founding cohort opens in August. 15 seats at $247. Waitlist link is in the description. Waitlist members get first chance at a seat. Quick action this week. If you have a Praxis score report, passing or failing, open it. Find the lowest section. That is where the next 10 hours of your study time should go. Movability beats mastery. Drop your score or target in the comments. See you next Tuesday for the 10-week study plan. Bye.